So let me show you to what extent the blue oceans are so open wide and just waiting for us. Let me take 1, 2 examples which are broad enough to show it to you. Suppose that you are in a company that produces projects to the outside world. Construction, special equipment, IT, special projects, tailored project to the outside world, okay? And you go to these companies and say, what is number 1 factor in selling or not? And they will tell you, price, 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 price. Correct or not? Hello? Let's take one example that we've done in full. So the example is, here's a company which is the world benchmark, an Indian company, that produces the core of refineries, among other things. You know what's the core of a refinery? These things that breaks the molecules. This is not a cheap thing, okay? The core of a refinery is usually going for, depends the size of the refinery, something around $70 million, okay? It's not something cheap or whatever. As they say, it's price, 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 to the extent that every time they have an internal debate, should we reduce the price by $1 million and then we can win the bid? But then if we reduce it by $1 million, do we want to win the bid? It's so tight. And what they say is the following. All the expertise needed, all the quality, this is taken for granted. If you don't have it, you are simply not a player. So what we are really fighting on is a price. Understood? Yes or no? Now we're in the blue ocean. I've talked with all the top managers for days. And that was the starting point. And I said, wait a minute. Let's look in reality as is. Your client, when he decided that he wants a new refinery, and then he put the bid in the market, what was his only criteria to decide I want a refinery? What was his only criteria? And you all know it. It's return on investment. Am I right? Yes or no? Everybody understands it in full? Return on investment. But now what you're telling me is that when this same company, same client, is talking to you, the supplier, all of a sudden it's just price, 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 which means all of a sudden it's just investment, as if the return is not part of the equation. Correct or not? Why? Let's understand it a little bit better. Look on it. That's a project. Here is a decision. The decision is made based on return on investment, period. Am I right? Yes or no? That will be the time that the project is completed. In other words, only after that the return will start. Up to there, the investment is going in. But now look, where is interaction with the supplier? It starts sometime after the decision, and it ends when the project is completed. You see, the entire interaction with the supplier is in the section that the investment is dominant. Is it understood? Yes or no? No wonder they talk to us only about price. But don't you see what is a hidden assumption that both the supplier and the client are making? The hidden assumption is that the supplier cannot affect the return. Is it correct? For example, I've asked this company, how many times does it happen that the refinery is not ready to refine at the stated completion date? How many times there is delays? Do you know what was the answer? They know about one case that it was starting on time, and by the way, in that particular case, they were not the supplier. And then I asked them, what's the average delay? Huge debate, took time. The answer was, we cannot agree between us, but the average delay in this case, is between 4 and 6 months. That's the average delay. Then I said, fine. What's the impact on return to the client? And their answer was, we don't know. That's where I've started to lose my patience. What do you mean you don't know? That's your business. They don't know. They're only 30 years in this business. And then I said, okay. First of all, I had to control myself. And then I said, do you know, when you are starting, when you're even submitting the bid, do you know how many barrels a day the refinery is supposed to refine? And the answer was, of course. Otherwise, how can we plan it? Okay? That's the parameter that tells us what to build. I said, fine, so you know how many barrels per day. Fine. Do you know also how much the client is making per barrel when he refines it? And I said, of course we know. Well, it's depending on the price of the oil, but it's somewhere between $2 and $4 a barrel. So you know that as well. Now I have a real question for you. Do you know to multiply? Number of barrels per day times what the client is doing net per barrel. Here is the damage per day of a delay. Multiplied by minimum 4 months, look what you are getting. It's more than the entire cost of the project. Hello? And you are fighting on 1 million or not in your proposition because you are fighting on cost, on price. What will happen if you will gear all your operation to dramatically improve your performance so that you can guarantee that you will deliver on time? Don't you understand that then you are in a blue ocean? Hello, are you with me? Yes or no? This is a need of a client that you don't have to explain too much. As a matter of fact, when you come and show it to the client, the only thing that the client is saying is, I don't believe you, it's too good to be true. As a matter of fact, I'm talking to you only about price because I gave up on you. So show me, prove to me that you will deliver on time. Is it understood? Yes or no? Do you understand that here is a generic way of how to create blue oceans when we're talking about projects? What you have to realize is how am I, as a supplier, can affect the return. Aim all your improvement projects to be able to do it. But then you are in a blue ocean. Am I right? Yes or no? Hello? Let me give you another huge example. You're a manufacturer and you sell to wholesalers or to retail. This is a huge section of business. Am I right? Yes or no? And once again, go and talk with your salespeople. Price, 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 price. What is the most important thing for wholesaler or retail? Is it price? Think again. It's not price. Think again. And for that, if you are a manufacturer, you will have to think a little bit more to understand what's the meaning of your clients, because it is amazing to what extent we are doing business for dozens of years and we still don't know understand the clients at all. Look on the huge difference between a manufacturer and a wholesaler. Two huge differences. One is how much of the cash of a wholesaler is tied up in the inventory. How much? Come on. Come on, you all know. It's well over 90%. This is not the case for a manufacturer. Not that inventory doesn't capture a lot of our cash, but not 90%, not even 50%. Our cash is tied up in machines and so on, so many other things. But for a wholesaler, almost all his money, all his cash is tied up in inventory. That's one difference. Now comes the second difference. If you're a manufacturer, and I will come to you and say, you know what, I will arrange for you unlimited line of credit. Unlimited. Can you double sales in 1 year? And your answer most likely will be, no way. To double sales in 1 year, I need more clients, I need more new products, I will have to expand to other geographical areas. This is not done in 1 year. Am I right? But if I will come with the same proposition to a wholesaler, and I will tell him, I'll arrange for you for unlimited line of credit. Can you double sales in 1 year? What is his answer? No problem. I will just triple the portfolio of products that I'm carrying. I will easily double sales. Is it understood? Yes or no? And because of that, because of these two differences together, will you please start to understand that for a distributor or for a wholesaler, the number one measurement is inventory turns. How many times he's turning the inventory? That is a make or break. Is it understood? Yes or no? Now, if as a manufacturer, you will be able to come to a wholesaler with a proposition that increases inventory turns by even 20%, that's a very good proposition for him. If you can come and show that you will double his inventory turns, you're in a blue ocean. As a matter of fact, what's the reaction? The reaction is, it's too good to be true, let's try it on some SKUs. You prove it, bingo, it's yours. Is it understood? Yes or no? In other words, it's not the difficulty of finding blue ocean. It's understanding that that's the most important thing, and now understanding how do you go about getting it? What's the internal improvements that we have to do so we can deliver it? Are you with me?